Hey everyone and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm finally going to share more information on this digital mini album planner I have designed for you. And as it's something I've worked on for the last months, or actually most of the year, I'm really excited to finally share it with you and talk about all the great features you have when using this planner. And I actually started off with a much more basic idea for this digital mini album planner. But then with the development of this planner, it actually got better and better, and now it's better than I've ever expected, and I'm actually super proud of it. So in today's video, I want to go through all the different features for this digital mini album planner. So let me start by explaining why I wanted to create a planner for pre-planning mini albums. So if you have already watched some videos on my YouTube channel, then you probably have noticed by now that I really love to be organized and using systems. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I just want to quickly mention here that the way I'm doing my interactive mini albums is by using a mix and match system. And that means that every time I'm making a mini album, I actually choose my interactive page styles from a collection of 50 different interactive page styles. And then I just mix and match them throughout my album, making my album completely different to the album I've previously made. And then of course you can decorate your album for any theme or occasion. And this way I've made tons of different albums. But for more information on how to exactly use this system and what you would need to make those albums, I will just link my information video in the description box and also in the right corner right now. But while I think that working with this mix and match system is a very fun and easy way of making mini albums, I would also say that the choice of 50 different interactive page styles is a great choice, but might also be a little bit overwhelming. And that's why I always used to pre-plan my albums by just writing down some handwritten notes of which interactive elements I want to use. And then I would also add some sketches to the notes of the different interactive page styles, as well as some decoration ideas I have before making my album. But I always wished for a better way of pre-planning my albums like this. And that's when I started working on this digital planner, but as I said before, now it's much more than this. So as you can see by watching this little preview, it really went from being a great way of choosing and pre-planning the interactive page styles you want to use in your album, to also being a great tool for planning your decorations and choosing and combining your papers, as well as choosing and cropping your photos to prepare them for printing. And then to those of you who like to work with digital paper collections and printing out your own papers, I can tell you that this is definitely the best and easiest way to prepare your papers for printing. And especially for working with digital paper collections, there's so much more you can do with this digital planner. So as I said before, in this video today, I will go through all the different features in detail. And I recommend you to keep on watching, because I promise you it really gets better and better with every minute you're watching this video. But before we start looking at the features, I know that there is a question you probably all have and I need to answer first. And that's the question of how to use this planner. So is it an app? Is it a software? Is it something I really developed completely myself, or is it something to use in a different program? And as you can see, I actually designed it to be used in Canva. And some of you might already know Canva, but for those of you who don't, it's basically a design website. And there are actually so many things you can design with Canva, like making your own business cards, making your Instagram posts or invitations or websites. So there's actually not much you can't do with Canva, and the best thing is that it's completely free. Well, there is also a pro subscription to Canva you could subscribe to, but for most of the features in Canva, and especially for the features in my digital mini album planner, you can just use the free version of Canva. And once you have created your free account, you can use it in any browser on any laptop or computer, but you could also download the app for your tablet as well as for your mobile phone. So what I basically did is I designed templates to use in Canva, but I also added all those different like buttons and links so that you would be easily able to just jump from one page to another page in this whole design, which is a design of around 450 pages. So yeah, I really wanted it to be kind of a whole tool to use within a software which already existed. So as I said, the first use I intended this planner to be for is for choosing and combining your interactive page styles. So you would start by using these templates of an empty mini album, and it will come with different album styles. So that means that you can choose between your album having either 4 or 5 hinges, as well as if you want your album to also include some additional page flaps or not. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I really recommend you watching the information video I linked at the beginning of this video, because in this video I talk about what a page flap is, what a basic page is, and how this whole mix and match system for the interactive page styles work. And my favorite album style is an album including 5 hinges as well as 5 additional page flaps. And this gives me 11 different double pages I can add my interactive page styles to. And then by clicking on the page style button, I have the overview of all 50 different page styles, and I can easily see them all on one page and then choose the first page style I want to add to my first double page. And for most of the interactive page styles, you have 2 options to choose from. So for example, for this page style number 1, you get the pocket on the bottom and then the flap on the top, but you could also use it as a side pocket. And then you can simply copy and paste the page style and add it to the double pages in your album. And for each double page, you have the option to first add the closed page style, and then on the next page you can add the open page style so that you could also see what the page style looks like once it's open. And that's how you can fill your album with interactive page styles in only a couple of minutes. And it's also super easy to change page styles during the process. So let's say you just started decorating your page style, but you end up not really liking it, or you notice that you want to include more photos, so there is a better page style for this. You can simply delete the page style and add another one. And then for some page styles like pockets or belly bands, you would also be able to include the add-on styles you want to use inside the pocket or behind the belly band. So if you don't know my channel already, then let me just say that I also have 30 different add-on styles you can include in your albums. And add-on styles are basically like smaller interactive elements. And as I said, you would use them to include in your pocket or behind the belly band. So that's how you can customize your album by adding all the interactive page styles and add-on styles you want to use. But if you don't want to bother with adding all those page styles yourself, then you could also use one of 2 pre-made albums which I included with this digital planner package. And the first album is an album including 5 hinges, so 5 basic pages, as well as 5 additional page flaps. And it comes with all my personal favorite interactive page styles. So this would be the structure of the album I have used the most, and you can just use it and then start decorating. And for the second album, I asked my lovely craft friend Fräulein Fotofee. If you don't know her, I will make sure to link her Instagram profile in the description box below. And I know that she has used my interactive page styles a lot of times, and she made so many different albums with it. However, her album style is a little different, so she definitely also has her favorite page styles and a different structure for her album. And her album also includes 5 hinges, so 5 basic pages, but there are no additional page flaps. Which also means that in her album you will always find 2 interactive page styles on one double page. While, as you could see, I like to just add 1 interactive page style to a double page, and then for the additional page flaps I like to keep them simple and just add some pattern paper or decoration on there. So yeah, you have those two options and you could just use one of those albums and start decorating right away. Or as I said, you could design your own album by choosing one of these 4 different digital album styles. Now let's have a closer look at decorating your album using this digital album planner. And this is actually so easy to do, because all you have to do is you have to upload the collection you want to use for decorating your album to Canva, and I will talk more about this in a minute. But then once it's uploaded, you can just drag and drop your papers into these templates I have designed. And as you can see, it's just super quick and super easy, and really the best way of matching colors and matching patterns. Because you can just drag in a paper you like, and then if you don't really end up liking it once you see it in the page style, you can simply just drag the next paper, a different paper in, and do that until you find the perfect match. And when sharing my albums, I often got the compliment that I'm really good at combining papers, which I always appreciate. But I would say that with this tool, you can be as good, because it really makes combining papers so easy. Because sometimes I would also think that 2 papers match very well together, and then I would just cut them down and glue them onto my interactive page style. And once I have already finished it, I look at it and I don't really end up liking it. And that's something you can definitely avoid using this planner for pre-planning your decorations. So again, for decorating your album in Canva, you would have to upload all the papers or decorative elements first. And that's super easy to do, but again, I don't want this video to talk about everything and how to do it, because I really just want to give you an overview of all the different features and why I love this planner so much. But I do want to talk about the different options you have for the use of papers in this digital planner. Because the first option would be to use a digital paper collection. So that's what I did here. I actually purchased this collection from the digital store of Simple Stories. And for Simple Stories, as well as Echo Park, Cartabella, American Crafts and other companies, you will find most of the collections they are selling as physical paper collections also available as digital collections. And that's of course what you would have to do when you're also planning on printing your papers. So you would have to work with the digital collection you purchased, and then you have all these papers and decorative elements in a very high quality so that later on you can print them out. And even though I will definitely later on in this video talk about all the reasons why I love using digital paper collections and printing my own papers, I really wanted this tool to also be a great way of pre-planning your decorations, even if you're working with a physical paper collection. And if you want to use a physical collection and use this planner just for pre-planning your album, then you of course could also get the digital collection just for planning, because as I said, the digital paper collections come in a very high quality, so you can really see the colors and use it in this planner very well. But of course, you would have to pay extra, so you already paid for the physical collection and now you're paying for the digital collection, and I know that that's not something everyone would do. So there are 2 more options, and the first option would be to just scan in or take photos of the papers of your physical collection. And when doing that, I would recommend to take your pictures in good lighting and have your camera being set up in the best settings, so that you will have good quality of photos or scans for these papers you can then upload into Canva. Another option would be to actually look for the collection online and find good product pictures. But again, this would just be to pre-plan your album for your personal use, and you don't want to print out those public images of the products. I just recommend that because they might be in a better quality than you can achieve by taking your own photos of the papers. But that's still nothing you could do for printing out your papers. So for printing your papers, the only way of getting good quality papers is to purchase the digital collection. And as I said, there are actually a lot of different reasons for using a digital collection and then printing them out, especially when working with this digital album planner. And the first one would be that when working with a digital collection and printing your own papers, you can just scale your patterns completely to your liking. Which means that you could use a pattern paper and then enlarge it to have a larger image of the patterns, but you could also use smaller items like journaling cards, which in reality in the physical collection would be much smaller and you wouldn't be able to use them on a whole page. With the digital collection and with printing out the papers, you can just do that and drag in your journaling card onto a whole 8x8 inch page. But sometimes it might be that you get an issue with pixelation because the digital image is too small to enlarge it that much. But for most of the time, I was totally fine with these collection kits to use my images much larger than I know they would be in the physical collection. But that's something you have to keep in mind and still double check before printing your papers. Now, when we are looking at working with a physical collection and using the planner for pre-planning our decorations, then we have a little issue with scaling our papers. And that's because the scaling is not correct, because for all those papers you can see here, they are 12 by 12 inches when you have the physical collection. But as you can see, when I drag and drop them into my basic page here, it just fits the page completely, which means that the 12 by 12 inch paper is now like in the size of 8 by 8 inches. And that's not what the paper would look like, because the pattern would be much larger when you cut it down to 8 by 8 inches. And maybe that's fine with you because you just want to see the colors and the patterns, but you could also like double click on the page and then enlarge the pattern so that it looks more like an 8 by 8 inch paper. And if you have done mini albums before, you probably know by now like what it looks like to cut down a 12 by 12 inch paper to an 8 by 8 inch paper. But it's definitely not as easy for all those other smaller elements to really know what the pattern would look like. So that's nothing I can estimate very well. So of course I had to find a better solution for this. And it took me quite some time to figure out the best way of working with this digital planner for making an interactive album using a physical paper collection, but have those interactive page styles here look like exactly what they're supposed to look like in reality. And the solution is that you also have to digitally trim down your 12 by 12 inch papers, for example, to the size of 8 by 8 inches before you're actually dragging it into the interactive page style. And that's why I designed those cutting mats for each page style. So for every page style, you have a cutting mat you could use to easily trim down your papers before actually dragging them onto your page style. But that also means that before you actually have to take an extra step by adding all your papers to a digital paper stash, just to have them being in the correct size of 12 by 12 inches compared to the sizes of the interactive pages. But of course you have templates for this, and it's actually quite easy and quick to do. And once you have inserted all your papers, you can then just copy the paper you want to use and just lay it onto these cutting mats and then trim them down to exactly the size of the pattern paper element you want to use it for. So here I want to use it for the basic page, so the basic pattern paper, and then I can just place it onto this square, and then with the Canva functions of the snapping tool, it just snaps in place and it's super easy to trim down. And then once it's trimmed down, you can just drag and drop it into the page style, and it's exactly 8 by 8 inches. And using those cutting mats is also a great way of actually finding a perfect fit of a journaling card for a page style. So what I mean by that is that I actually designed my page styles to fit a lot of these journaling card sizes, like 3 by 4 inch journaling cards or 4 by 6 inch journaling cards. So as you can see, this journaling card fits perfectly on the cutting mat for pattern paper A. And what is so great about this is once you have cut it down, you can just double click on it and then you can find the journaling card you want to use out of this 12 by 12 inch paper. And that can also be done after dropping it into the interactive page style template, which is such a great way of finding the perfect journaling card you want to use on a design. But then sometimes I don't really have a journaling card in the correct size for the interactive page style I want to use, or I do have journaling cards in the size, but I don't really find the perfect one. And then what I always did is I were looking for journaling cards which are larger, but I could still find a crop or a cutout on these larger journaling cards to use on the smaller size journaling card I would need. And that's nothing you can do as easily when just having the physical collection and doing physical crafting, because it's just not as easy to see which crop out of a larger image would really fit my smaller image. But then with a digital planner, as you can see, it's so easy to do, and it works so well because again, you would just have to cut down your paper to the size of the journaling card you want to use, and then you can just move around the paper and find the perfect cutout. So as you can see, it is also a great tool for pre-planning your decorations for your album, even if you're working with a physical paper collection. Because not only does it save you a lot of time for the actual crafting part, but it also brings choosing and combining papers and journaling cards to a whole nother level. And that to me makes it so much fun to do, and I will never ever again not pre-plan my albums. And to be honest, I already have digitally planned and decorated so many different albums by now. What I love the most about it is that I could do that while being on vacation. So for those of you who don't know, I actually spent the last 3 months in Sydney in Australia. This time I couldn't bring all my craft stuff, so I actually didn't bring any, so I had nothing to actually craft while being in Sydney, but I did have my iPad and my laptop with me. So I could be creative while being on vacation, and I think that's just so great that you can do that with this digital album planner. But it's definitely not the end of the video yet, so let's continue and have a look at the next feature of this album planner, which I think you will love as much. And that is that with this album planner, you are also able to pre-plan the photos you want to use in your album. And for me, a lot of times I make my albums to give them to friends or family members, and I'm also selling my albums. But especially when being on vacation, I really like to document it and make albums for myself with photos in it. But I always found the process of choosing and printing and adding photos to my albums not that easy. And even though I love all my interactive page styles, they come with a lot of different sizes for photos, and the process of preparing your photos for printing in the correct size is also something which is not as easy to do. So I used to use apps like collage apps for this, but now with this digital planner, it's so much better and easier. So as you can see, you again would have to upload your photos to Canva, and then you can just drag and drop them into the photo spots. And the best thing is that you can zoom in and zoom out and find the perfect crop of your photo and place it into the interactive page style, and that you're also able to see what it looks like on the decorated page. And then another thing you can do with this planner is you can also add text or stickers to your photos. So you can do some journaling to your photos before printing them out, and that's something I really love doing. And then you also have some features in Canva for editing your photos. So there are some filters you could add to your photos. You could also adjust the brightness and the colors. And then with the Pro version of Canva, you also get some AI features such as removing the background or grabbing some tools or editing text from a photo. And I think that's something which is also great to have. But again, you really don't need the Pro subscription to Canva to work with this planner. And then after editing your photos, you can prepare them for printing. And for this, you will find different print templates in this mini album planner. And this depends on the paper size you want to print your photos on. So I really like to print my photos in a copy shop. So it's an online copy shop. I can just send in my photos. And they're actually using different photo sizes, but they also offer the photo size of A4 prints. So A4 is the size of the print templates I'm choosing here, and then I just copy it to my album planner, and now I can arrange my photos on this print template. And again, what I love the most is that after copying the photos from the page style, you have the photos in exactly the crop and size and zooming you want the photos to be in, and you have all your stickers and journaling on them. Okay, so now let's talk more about the different reasons on why I love using digital collections along with this planner so much. So we have already talked about that you don't have to worry at all about the scaling of your papers. So you can just choose a paper, drag it in, and then change the size of the paper to your liking. Another thing you can do is you can color match papers. So what I mean by that is that you can create your own solid papers in a matching color along with the pattern paper you are using on a double page. With this color picker tool, it's just super easy to find the color and then just color in the paper you want to create and later on print out. And if you have watched any of my previous project shares, then you know that I really love including these solid papers as well as basic patterns matching the color of the more busy pattern papers. And that's why I also created these basic pattern templates, which you can use and change the colors of, and I absolutely love it. So I am using these so much because you have just basic patterns like stripes and dots and plates, and then you can just go ahead and again pick the colors with the color picking tool and change the colors of those patterns. And I really find that so helpful because some of the collections to me are really missing some of the more basic patterns, and sometimes I find these beautiful pattern papers just too much to combine them together. But with the choice of these basic patterns and the possibility to change them to any color, I really have no problems at all finding matching basic pattern papers. Another feature I enjoy a lot is creating my own pattern papers or journaling cards. For this, you can just use the stickers which come with the digital collection and choose stickers you like, and then you can just lay them onto the paper or journaling card you want to create. And then you can also add some text either from the sticker collection as well, or you can just use the text box in Canva and add your own text. And you actually can find so many different fonts in Canva, and they're really great to use. But there is actually an even better way of finding the perfect font matching the collection you're using, which I will show you in a second. But here I show you how to create a journaling card by using an existing journaling card from the collection, but then backing it onto a background in the same color as the background of the journaling card. And this way you can just change the size of the image on the journaling card and make it a little smaller. So for finding the perfect font, you could use one of the other AI tools. And again, these AI tools are actually pro features, so you can only use them if you have a pro Canva account. But I still wanted to include them because I think they're really great and very fun to use. So this tool is actually reading the text and then finding the closest font. So you can just use a journaling card and then have AI looking for the font, and then you can remove the font from the journaling card, which might be helpful if you like a journaling card but you don't really like the text on it. But it's also great because after finding the matching font, you would be able to change the text on the journaling card, or you could just use the text itself. So this way you can really completely personalize your journaling cards or your papers in your album and add text to whatever you want to add them to. You can add stickers to any pen and paper, and you can really be very, very creative, and there's almost no limit to what you can do with this digital planner. Another thing I want to mention here, especially to those of you who have never used Canva before, is that Canva itself comes with a lot of different stickers or designs you could use in your Canva design. And a lot of them are free to use as well. And then again, some of them would be only available to those of you who have a pro account. But you can basically type in anything you are looking for. So I just typed in snowflake here, and as you can see, it gives me a bunch of different images of snowflakes. And then you can choose some, and sometimes you would be able to choose the colors of those images, and sometimes you can't. But yeah, in this case, I could change the color to white and just add it to my journaling card here. And again, if you've been watching previous project shares of me, then you know by now that I really love to include scallop frames in my albums for decorating. So of course I had to also include them in this digital money album planner. And they actually come in different sizes, which are perfect to use along with the interactive page styles. So this scallop frame, for example, can be perfectly used on this 6x8 inch flap on the page style number 22. And these scallop frames wouldn't be something I would like to print onto my papers, even though you can perfectly change the colors of those and then have them being printed along with your paper. But I prefer them to be cut out and then added onto a paper later on. And I actually do have a bunch of scallop frame die cuts in my stash. But to be honest, I always wished for better sizes so that I could use them on my interactive page styles. And some of them really work well, but most of them are like either a little too narrow or a little too large. And with these scallop frames I designed for the planner, I can just use them perfectly with my interactive page styles, but I could also always change the size if I want to. Now, because I don't have die cuts in the same size, the perfect way for me is to plan my album and then go ahead and cut out those scallop frames in the right size by using my cutting machine. But this is of course optional, so if you don't have an electric cutting machine, then you can still use these scallop frames if you have some die cuts, and even though if the sizes are not the correct size, you can either change the size in the digital planner to match the die cuts you have, or you can just use them for pre-planning, but then yeah, it won't be like the same size once you craft your album. And of course, you don't have to use these scallop frames at all if you don't want to. But I just think combining this digital planner with using your Cameo or Cricut or whatever cutting machine you have is just so great. So if you do have a cutting machine, then there's a lot of options which work really well along with this digital planner. But again, in this video, I want to keep it a little shorter. So there will be videos for those of you who get the planner in which I talk exactly on how to do it, and you will see that it's really easy. And as I said, I prefer these scallop frames to be cut out and not printed, but I also designed some scallop frames which you could use to also print onto your paper. And these are those like scribbled frames you could add to your papers, and then you could also change the color. So here I just changed it to white, and then you would still be able to add a journaling card inside of this frame, or you could add a photo which you glue onto once you have printed out your paper. So I really like using those. I think they just look great and they add a little bit of more like decoration to a paper or to a journaling card. Now, something else I added to this digital planner are those photo grids. And they're just great to add more photos to a page style, and I especially like using them when I use a page style with a larger photo format, such as this page style 22 includes this 6x8 inch photo flap. So you can just lay them onto your photo mat, and then you would be able to drag in more than just one photo, and you could also include some journaling or add some stickers if you want to. And this really gives you the flexibility to include all the photos you want to include in your mini album. Okay, so there are so many more things you could do, especially when using digital paper collections, but as I said, I don't want to go through all of them in this video today. But there will definitely be some more videos in the future with all the tips and tricks when working with digital or physical paper collections. But for now, let's have a closer look at how you would continue once you have designed your whole album and you want to print out your papers. And for printing, you would need these print templates, and they come in different sizes, so just choose the size you want to print your papers on, and then you can also choose between your print being a borderless or having a border of either 3 or 6 millimeter. And preparing your prints is quite easy, but it definitely takes some time to do. Even though you will get better every time you're making an album, but what you have to do is you have to copy each paper and then everything you want to print onto these papers. And then you simply have to arrange these papers before copying it onto the original size template and printing it out. And this will leave you with the perfect prints, and you have all your papers in the correct size, so you don't even have to measure them, you just have to cut them out. And this way you also won't have any scraps, which I absolutely love. Okay, so these were the main features of this digital mini album planner. But there was one last thing I added to the planner when I actually thought that I've already finished it. And that's the measurements, because I thought that it would be just perfect to also include the measurements for all the interactive page styles as well as the add-on styles in this digital planner. And that had me change so many things in this already finished planner, and it was actually a ton of extra work. And then once I have added my measurements to the same design, I noticed that the design is now too large to be saved, and I actually had to change it back. But you still have the measurement when you're purchasing the bundle, including the measurements. But now it's not in the same design, but in an extra design on Canva, which is actually working even better, because you would be able to open different tabs, and then you can just add the measurements for the page styles you chose to your digital mini album planner. So as you can see, there are really a lot of different reasons to get this planner and use this planner every time you're making an album. So let me just give you a quick overview of why I think that everyone who loves making mini albums will enjoy this tool. First of all, using this digital mini album, you can really easily customize your interactive album by either using pre-made albums, or you can create your album completely on your own. And when doing so, you have a choice of 50 different interactive page styles. And I think that's just so great that you can just mix and match these pages, and every time you're creating an album, you can create a completely different one. Now, decorating your album is also much easier when using this planner. So first of all, you can use this digital planner using any digital or physical paper collection. And simply using drag and drop is really the best way for matching papers. So I guarantee you, you will find the perfect paper combination. And as I showed you, when working with a physical paper collection, there's really no better way of finding journaling cards or cutouts you could use on any size element. And that's why I definitely think it's also the best tool for pre-planning your album when working with a physical collection. But as I said multiple times in this video, I especially love working with a digital collection and printing my own papers. Because printing your own papers means that there is really no limit for you and your creative ideas. So you can easily create your own basic papers, pattern papers, journaling cards, and decorative elements, and completely customize and personalize the collection you're using and the album you're creating. So let's say you found a beautiful like floral collection and you want to use it for your mom as a Mother's Day gift, but it's actually not Mother's Day themed. It's so easy to change like the text on the journaling cards or to add some more personalized images or something, and then really make the collection all about your mom. And also, using a digital collection, you can just use the papers you love and then leave the papers you don't like, and you can use them as often as you want to. And there are no limits to the size of your patterns or the images on the journaling card. So if you want to use a journaling card on a whole 8x8 inch page, you can do that. And for creating, not only could you use all the different like stickers or decorative elements from the collection you're using, but you could also choose elements from a large media library in Canva. And then with this planner, you also get a couple of different scallop frames and scribble frames, as well as decorative elements, text and shapes. And now again, printing your paper is really a game changer. And with this planner, you can easily prepare your papers for printing, and you can actually print papers in exactly the sizes you need. So you don't even have to measure your pattern papers when working with this digital planner. You can simply print them out, cut them out, and I guarantee you, if you're doing the printing correctly, then it will fit on your different interactive page styles just perfectly. And that means that you won't have any scraps, which is actually very environment friendly. And also no ruined papers by accidentally cutting a paper wrong. And we love creating those albums to keep our memories. So we also want to add photos to our albums, and I can tell you there is really no better way than using this digital mini album planner to add photos to all our interactive page styles. Not only makes it choosing and editing your photos very easy, but also the cropping of photos to the different sizes of photo mats, as well as zooming in on these photos if you want to, and actually seeing what the photos will look like on a decorated album page makes it really the easiest and best way of adding your photos to your album. And as I showed you, this planner even comes with grids to include more photos on a photo mat, and then you could also add some text or stickers to your photos. And once you have finished creating your whole album and adding all your photos, it's so easy to prepare those photos for printing. And to actually keep these memories alive, I think that it's also great to add some journaling to your album along with these photos you're using. And to do the journaling in this digital mini album planner is also a game changer, because you can really see like what the journaling would look like along with the decorated pages and the photos. And not only can you choose from a lot of different fonts, but you could also use some text effects, you can add stickers to your journaling, and you can have your journaling really match the collection you're using, and you could actually even journal on some pattern papers if you're going to print your own papers as well. But if not, you can still like print just the journaling parts or the photos for your album when using a physical collection. So as I said, I really think that you will enjoy this digital mini album planner so much. And you will notice that it saves you a lot of time, because when crafting, all like the creative process is already like done, and you simply have to focus on putting your album together. And then you can actually do that from everywhere. So you could sit on a couch and craft, you could be on vacation and craft, you could be on a train and craft if you want to. And I also think that there's no better way for bringing all your creative ideas to life, because especially when printing your own papers, there are no limits to what you can do with your album. So now let's talk about how you can purchase this digital planner. So there will be 2 bundles available for this planner. And the first one will include the digital mini album planner to use in Canva. So after purchase, you would get a template link to Canva to this design, and then you would be able to open it in your account. And this digital mini album planner will include everything I showed you in this video except for the measurements. And again, this digital mini album planner will come in different album style options you can choose from. And then this bundle will also include the different size templates for printing. So it will include an A3 template as well as A4, 12 by 12 inches, 6 by 4 inches, and so on. And then this bundle will also include the cutting files for the scallop frames I showed you. And then last but not least, you will also get access to a video class which will be around 2.5 hours long. And in this video, I will explain to you step by step how to work with this digital mini album planner. And then with the second bundle, you basically get a whole package. So you also get everything included in the first bundle. But in addition to that, you also get the cutting guides for everything you would need to make those albums. So these include the bundle for the cutting guides for page styles 1 to 25, then the cutting guide bundle for page styles 26 to 50, as well as all the cutting guides for my add-on styles 1 to 30. And not only will it include the cutting guides within the planner, which I just showed you, but also the PDF files for these cutting guides, as well as all the templates in the PDF files. So bundle 2 is especially great for those of you who just start working with my mix and match system. Again, there is an information video, so if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend you watching it before going into what you want to purchase. And then with this bundle, you really can just start making tons of different albums. I also made sure that bundle number 2 is really a great deal, so please compare prices and have a thought if you want to just get the digital mini album planner or if you want to get the cutting guides as well. And then to those of you who have already purchased my 3 cutting guide bundles for the size 8 by 8 inches, you can definitely send me a message and then I make sure that I give you a discount code to get the digital mini album planner for a better price. And of course, to celebrate the release of this digital mini album planner I'm so proud of, I will do a sale in my online shop. So if you're watching this video when it just came out, then you can get 20% off on these bundles. And with that being said, I'm going to end this video for today. And I knew this would be a long video, but I still hope that you enjoyed watching it. And if you did, I would love to get your feedback in the comments down below. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and then I would love to see you in my next video. Bye!